Stop scrolling for 10 seconds. Listen. Your heart is exhausted. Your mind is racing and you've been pretending you're okay. But I know you're hurting. And this right here is where that pain finally gets a voice. There is a very specific kind of tired that comes from emotional pain. It's not the exhaustion of working late or missing sleep. It's the type that bruises your soul. The type that makes you wake up already drained. Even though your eyes were closed all night, when you're tired of hurting, the world feels blurry. You laugh, but you don't feel it. You move, but you're not living. You carry wounds nobody sees because you've learned to smile like a mask. Pain can feel like a betrayal. You gave love, trust, effort, and someone left anyway. Or stayed and hurt you, or promised forever and delivered nothing. And now you're left holding the pieces of a heart you didn't break alone. But here's the truth nobody says out loud. You don't get tired of hurting because you're weak. You get tired of hurting because you were strong for too long. You kept going when your heart was screaming to stop. You kept believing people could be better than their worst moments. You stayed loyal, patient, forgiving. You fought for relationships others treated casually. And now your soul needs rest. This moment, right now, is your permission to stop carrying it alone. You don't have to pretend. You don't have to be the strong one today. You don't have to smile through pain. You can just breathe. Take one deep breath, not as a way to erase the hurt, but to remind yourself you survived every day you thought you wouldn't. You're not broken. You're not unlovable. You're not too emotional, too sensitive, or too much. You're a human being who cared deeply. And being tired of hurting doesn't mean you're done. It means you're ready to heal. You know what the hardest part of pain is? It isn't the crying. It isn't the heartbreak. It isn't even the loneliness. The hardest part is pretending you don't feel it. You wake up, wash your face, and tell the world you're fine. You make jokes, you nod, you show up for others. But somewhere inside, your heart is quietly bleeding. And the cruelest part, people rarely notice because you've taught them you're strong. You've taught them you're the one who holds everything together. You're the one who fixes, who listens, who gives. So they assume you're unbreakable. But even the strongest hearts fracture. There are days you want to disappear, days when breathing feels heavy. It's days when your chest feels full but empty at the same time. You don't want to talk, but you also don't want to be alone. You don't want them back, but you don't know how to move forward. You don't want to cry, but the pain sits right behind your eyes. And you ask yourself, why am I still hurting? Why can't I just let this go? Because love doesn't switch off like a light. Because trust can't be erased like a message. Because your heart is not a machine. It's a map of everything you've survived. You kept loving even when you were scared. You kept forgiving even when you were wounded. That's not weakness. That's courage with scars on it. So hear this clearly. You're not failing at healing. You're healing in silence. Every tear you held back. Every morning you forced yourself to rise. Every moment you kept breathing when your heart wanted to stop. Those are victories. Healing is messy. Healing is slow. Healing is not a straight line. But the fact that you're here listening to these words means something inside you still believes in tomorrow, even if today is heavy. And that is strength you don't even recognize. There's a moment in every heartbreak where the pain shifts. At first, it feels like someone ripped something out of your chest. You're shocked, confused, shattered. You replay memories like a broken film. Every smile, every promise, every I'll never leave. Your brain begs for answers, but your heart whispers only grief. Then time passes and something strange happens. You stop crying as much. You stop checking your phone. You stop asking, why wasn't I enough? But the achy doesn't disappear. It changes shape. It becomes quiet, heavy, invisible. You can be laughing with friends and still feel it. You can be working, driving, cooking, and suddenly your heart remembers the pain all over again. Healing is cruel like that. It doesn't ask permission. It doesn't warn you. Some days you feel strong, and then one memory knocks the air out of your lungs. And you wonder, why am I still hurting? Haven't I suffered enough? Let me tell you something that matters. You are not weak for missing someone who hurt you. You are not foolish for loving deeply. You are not broken for needing time. Pain is proof that your heart was real. It means you didn't fake love. You didn't pretend. You showed up with honesty, loyalty, vulnerability. And when a person like you breaks, it takes a while to rebuild. But here's the truth that will change you one day. The memory won't hurt. One day, their name won't sting. One day, you won't replay the ending. You'll remember what you survived, not what you lost. Your heart gets stronger in the same place it once shattered. Every tear is rebuilding you. Every day you wake up is proof that your heart still knows how to fight. And even if healing feels slow, you are already further than you think. The future you is grateful you didn't give up. When you're tired of hurting, your heart starts whispering things you usually ignore. Maybe I deserved better. Maybe the problem was never me. Maybe losing them wasn't a loss. That whisper is not weakness. That whisper is not weakness. That whisper is the beginning of your strength returning, because pain has a strange purpose. It teaches us what love should never feel like. You might miss them, but you do not miss the disrespect. You might miss the moments, but you do not miss the anxiety. You might miss the closeness, but you do not miss the emotional starvation of begging for the bare minimum. There's a difference between loving someone and losing yourself to keep them. You gave your time, attention, loyalty, emotions, support in your heart. And when people don't value what you give, the universe takes them away, whether gently or painfully. That is not punishment. That is protection. You're not hurting because you lost your person. You're hurting because you gave love to someone who didn't know how to hold it. You didn't fail. You simply outgrew what was too small for your soul. There will come a day when you look back and realize something powerful. If they had stayed, you would have settled. You would have kept shrinking yourself. You would have kept accepting almost love, and you deserve more than almost. The day you stop blaming yourself is the day healing begins. The moment you realize their absence is not your failure, your heart gets lighter. You start to breathe deeper. You start to forgive yourself for trying too hard. You start to see your worth, not as something to prove, but something that simply exists. You haven't been destroyed. You've been redirected. Your life is not falling apart. It's clearing space for something real. There is a future version of you who is smiling because this pain ended up being exactly what set you free. And you're getting closer to that version every single day. There comes a point in healing where you stop chasing answers and start accepting truth. Not because you suddenly feel better, not because the pain magically disappears, but because your soul gets tired of reopening the same wound. You finally say to yourself, I don't need closure from the person who broke me. The ending itself is all the closure I need. You see, closure isn't something they give you. Closure is something you choose. You choose it when you stop replaying conversations that never happened. You choose it when you stop waiting for an apology that will never come. You choose it when you stop trying to understand why they didn't love you the way you love them. Sometimes the reason a relationship ends is simply because you cared and they didn't. That's not a mystery, that's clarity. And as painful as it feels, it's a gift, because now you know the truth. You don't have to beg for love. You don't have to audition for affection. You don't have to shrink yourself to deserve someone's loyalty. The right people don't make you question if you're enough. The right people don't take you for granted. The right people stay. One day, you'll thank yourself for letting go. Not because the memories weren't beautiful, but because the pain taught you what you will never accept again. You'll walk with a stronger spine and a softer heart, not closed, not bitter, but wiser. You'll say, I loved deeply, I lost, I survived, and now I'm growing. That's closure, that's healing. And that's strength most people never learn. The day you stop needing them to fix what they broke is the day you start loving yourself again. And that's where real freedom begins. Healing doesn't start with forgetting them. Healing starts with remembering you. The version of you before the heartbreak, the version who smiled without forcing it, the version who loved without fear, the version who believed in tomorrow. Pain makes you forget who you are. You start seeing yourself through the eyes of the person who hurt you. Maybe I wasn't enough. Maybe I'm hard to love. Maybe I should have been different. But listen carefully. You were not hard to love. You were just easy to take for granted. There's a difference. You gave loyalty in a world where people settle for convenience. You gave effort in a society addicted to temporary. You gave your heart to someone who only knew how to receive, not reciprocate. That's not a flaw. That's a strength. And now healing is about reclaiming what was always yours, your worth, your peace, your confidence, your identity. You are not defined by who left. You are defined by who you are becoming after they left. You're learning how to love yourself again, slowly, quietly, beautifully. You're learning how to set boundaries. You're learning how to say no to what hurts and yes to what heals. You're learning that walking away is also a form of love, self-love. One day soon you'll wake up and realize you didn't think about them for hours, then days. then weeks. And when that day comes, you won't feel anger or sadness. You feel peace. Not because you stopped caring, but because you finally started caring about yourself more. Healing isn't a sudden sunrise. It's the quiet light that slowly fills the room. Even if you don't see it yet, it's happening. You're healing every time you choose yourself, and that choice will change your entire life. There's a moment in healing no one talks about. The moment when you start to feel okay and it scares you. You wake up one morning and realize your chest isn't as heavy. You hear their name and your heart doesn't drop. You see something that once reminded you of them. And instead of breaking, you just breathe. But then fear creeps in. What if the pain comes back? What if I'm only pretending to be better? What if healing means they really mattered and now they're gone forever? It's strange, isn't it? After carrying heartbreak for so long, peace feels unfamiliar. You spent nights falling apart. And now your soul almost doesn't know what to do with the absence of pain. But here, this feeling better isn't betrayal. Healing isn't forgetting. Moving forward doesn't erase what you felt. It simply means your heart is learning to live again. You deserve that. You deserve mornings where your first thought isn't heartbreak. You deserve nights where sleep doesn't feel like an escape. You deserve laughter that reaches your eyes, not just your lips. Healing will not remove your past. It will transform it. You will still remember the love, you will remember the lessons, but the pain will no longer own you. And maybe one day you'll look back and say, I loved someone deeply, it didn't last, but I didn't lose myself in the end. That's growth. That's maturity. That's courage. So if you feel even a small moment of peace, don't fear it. Welcome it. You earned it with every tear, every silent night, every broken hope. Your heart is not as fragile as you think. Pain tried to break you, but here you are, still breathing, still rising, still moving. That's not weakness. Rebirth, there's a part of heartbreak no one warns you about, the part where people expect you to be over it long before you actually are. They say, just move on. You'll find someone else. It wasn't meant to be. And you nod, but inside you feel misunderstood because your heart doesn't heal on command. Your mind doesn't forget on schedule. Your pain doesn't follow anyone else's timeline. Some days you feel strong. Some days you fall apart over a memory you thought you buried. Some days you don't miss them. You miss the version of yourself who believed in love without fear. And that is okay. Healing is not a performance. You don't owe anyone a fast recovery. You don't have to pretend you aren't hurting just to make others comfortable. You are allowed to take your time. You are allowed to grieve love that was real to you. You are allowed to miss someone and still choose yourself. And listen to this carefully. Healing doesn't mean you stop loving them. Healing means you stop losing yourself for them. It means you stop checking who they're with. You stop trying to read between words. You stop imagining conversations that will never happen. It means your peace becomes more important than their presence. That's growth. One day you will understand that your heart didn't break because you were weak. It broke because you were brave enough to love fully. And brave hearts take longer to heal. But when they heal, they love wiser, they choose better, they rise stronger than before. So don't rush your heart. Don't rush your tears. Don't rush your becoming. You are healing in ways you can't even see yet. And even if no one else notices your progress, you should be proud of yourself. You survived what was meant to destroy you. You're still standing. You're still learning. You're still here. That is not just healing. That is victory. There is a turning point in every heartbreak when you finally stop asking, why did they treat me that way? And start asking, why did I stay where I was hurting? That's not self-blame. That's self-awakening, because somewhere in the chaos of loving them, you forgot something important. You deserved love that didn't make you doubt yourself. You deserved hands that held you gently, words that didn't cut your spirit, a heart that didn't make you compete for space. But when we love deeply, sometimes we accept crumbs and call it a meal. We confuse attention with affection, presence with loyalty, and promises with actions. You weren't foolish for loving them. You were hopeful. You believed in potential. You wanted the best in them to finally show up. But here's the truth you learned. You can't love someone into being who they're not. You can't convince someone to choose you. You can pour out everything you have, and still it won't be enough for a heart that isn't ready. So now the question shifts, not what was wrong with me, but what parts of myself am I ready to reclaim? Because healing is not just about letting go of them. Healing is about returning to the person you were before they taught you to doubt your own worth. You start saying, I deserve effort. I deserve consistency. I deserve someone who doesn't make love feel like a war. And the moment you believe that, not just say it, but feel it, your entire life changes. You stop chasing people. You stop begging to be chosen. You stop giving chances to those who never earned them. You start building yourself instead of breaking for others. And that's when healing becomes power. You won't just move on. You will rise, not as the person you were before, but as someone smarter, softer, stronger, and impossible to replace. If you're listening to this right now, it means one thing: you haven't given up on yourself, even with a heart that feels bruised, even with emotions that feel heavy, even with memories that still sting. You're here trying to heal, and that matters, because heartbreak doesn't destroy you. It reveals you. It shows you the strength you never knew you had. It shows you the courage in letting go. It shows you the power in choosing yourself. You survived nights where sleep didn't come. You survived mornings where your chest felt hollow. You survived days when you weren't sure you'd ever feel okay again. Look at you, still breathing, still trying, still growing. This pain is not your ending. It's the doorway to a version of you that love will never break again. A version of you who knows your worth, a version of you who doesn't beg to be chosen, a version of you who will never settle for almost love. One day, someone will love you the way you loved others, with purity, with loyalty, with honesty, with intention. They will see the depth of your heart and not be afraid of it. They will not leave when it gets difficult. They will not make you fight for their attention. They will show you that love isn't supposed to hurt. But until that day arrives, your job is simple. Keep choosing yourself. Piece, breath by breath, day by day. Healing is not instant, but healing is inevitable. And when your heart finally rests, when you wake up light, when you forgive the past and feel excitement for the future, you'll realize the truth. You didn't lose them. You found yourself. And that will always be the greatest victory. So if you are tired of hurting, listen closely. Your pain is temporary. Your strength is permanent. And your story is not ending here. The best part of your life hasn't happened yet. And when it arrives, you'll finally say, I'm glad I survived, because this is what I was waiting for.